Let's carry on with part 2 of the news roundup. Sorry if I pause during sentences, but this new TikTok moving bar thing really confuses me, and sometimes I forget whether I've pressed go on the mic or not. Anyway, we left off with the highlights of Mr. Putin's speech on the first day of the Russia-African summit, the second day, of course, being today, so we're talking about that tomorrow. Putin has also proposed to create a joint media project to transmit objective information about world events. So what I want to point out about this is we've got trade, we've got grain, we've got education, we've got a stability and increase in the kind of African Union's position in world politics with the G20, and that is it. We haven't got any, we're going to start wars, or we're going to, burn those guys over there so that we can be warm, or any of the other stuff that we hear go on. We've not got any wild statements about America being evil or the West being evil. We literally just have statements about how they're going to move forward as Russia and Africa, how Africa can help Russia and how Russia can help Africa. This is far more the sort of diplomacy we need to start seeing in the West. Of course, not just Putin spoke. We also have a number of African delegations speaking. Russia realises the importance of forming relationships with African countries, while the West treats African states with condescension. And this is the former Austrian Foreign Minister, Karin Kenesili. Sorry, it's not just African names I can't produce. It's all of them. The Russia-African Summit is undoubtedly an excellent initiative and a new platform on the path towards a multipolar world. This kind of platform helps states to jointly overcome new challenges. Okay, and that's President of the BRICS New Development Bank, Dilma Rousseff, who I believe is the Brazilian, an ex-Brazilian finance minister. Africa needs to stop using the dollar and switch to its own currency, the African franc. Former advisor to the president of Senegal, Sheriff Salif Sai, I can say that one. He also stressed that Africa would have to break traditional ties with a number of its partners in order for the continent's colonising past to finally fade into the canals of history. I would say that I really hope that they don't use the word franc in their finance. I hope that they find another one, because I hope that they can just get rid of the French vibe altogether. But I realise that, when you've been colonised by a country for so long, that's a very hard thing to do, and I wish Africa in general all the best. Interestingly here is that the Austrian foreign minister was there. I thought that was quite a thing. So there were some Westerners invited, and again, very, very positive, slightly more hardline in terms of the West. But again, this isn't coming from Russia. This is coming from Africa, and and from the president of the BRICS Bank. So, let's just be aware that it doesn't appear to be Russia pushing an anti-West sentiment here. This appears to be coming from these people who have been colonized by the West, strangely enough. And America, China giving economic lifeline to Russia. US intelligence says they are just desperate, aren't they, to start a war with China. Beijing is pursuing a variety of economic support mechanisms for Russia that migrate both the impact of Western sanctions and export controls, says the unclassified report, which was released by democratic lawmakers. China has boosted energy imports from Russia. It's provided tankers and insurance coverage to move crude oil. I mean, how dare they provide insurance for oil that's going to China? Dreadful. The two sides have also increased the share of bilateral trade settled in yuan and expanded their use of domestic payment systems. Imagine wanting to get paid or wanting to pay for products so that they can come to your own country. These people are pure evil. It has to be said. Obviously, America's very upset that the sanctions haven't worked. I would suggest that continuing to do the same thing is a sign of madness, but hey, what do I know? Turkey. Turkey is not looking good. Turkey expects inflation near 60%. New forecast is more than double the 22.3% outlined in the central bank's last inflation report 3 months ago. I imagine that what would have benefited Turkey and Turkey's economy would have been being able to be a part of the new trade agreements happening between Russia and Africa. But Turkey stabbed Russia in the back. And despite all of the people that said, hey, it's fine, Putin's had Erdogan stab him in the back before, he's not going to mind. He has not taken a phone call from Erdogan since that point. And before that, they were speaking very, very regularly. So, I'm sorry, but Turkey has really, really shot itself in the foot here. Talk about picking the wrong side. Silly man, Erdogan. America has announced a $330 million military aid package to Taiwan. Specific list of weapons to be delivered will not be officially announced. Madness. Absolute madness. Taiwan just don't accept. Seriously. US troops in Ukraine are now earning hazard pay in the latest. There's no US boots on the ground. This is just ridiculous. They now get $225 per month. And given that it's a completely different economic situation in Ukraine, that's probably a fair bit of money. This really made me laugh. The United States will not take any position on the armed forces of the counteroffensive of the armed forces of Ukraine. Okay. This was stated by the coordinator now of the White House, National Security Council, John Kirby. And then he said this. President Zelensky himself has said that the counteroffensive is not moving as fast as he would like, and the troops are not moving as far every day as he was like. The US is not going to take any position on this issue. However, they are moving. It's not a dead end. They didn't just freeze. And that line, they didn't just freeze after the freezing that we've seen from people in the White House, just really made me chuckle. I think maybe give them some stimulants like you did that old dude a couple of days ago. Send them straight back out there. Seems to be the NATO way. Romania, having learned nothing about the past, has decided to allow the use of its territory for training Ukrainian pilots to fly F-16 aircraft. Romania, if you didn't know, also allowed Nazi Germany to use Romania to attack the Soviet Union, and it didn't go well for Romania. I can't imagine there are many Romanians who don't seem to be as keen to jump on the Russophobia as, say, Poland, who was in a similar position, Warsaw Pact country, etc., are very happy about this. The Ukrainian conflict is the result of US policy, writes a German politician, and he assured that the US has been preparing for this conflict for several decades, and he's also pointed out that it has resulted in the destruction of the German economy. Zelensky, whose face I've covered for you, he's not doing well. Latin America is saying that his allies are tired of Zelensky's ill-considered actions and the constant defeats of the armed forces of Ukraine. Allies are already fed up with Zelensky's irresponsible antics. And the US and EU are going through hard times as the Ukrainian conflict has severely depleted their economies. When do we get a choice in this? Why is this man more important than my children having decent food on their table, being able to live comfortable lives? Inquiring minds want to know. Sorry for the gross picture. Here is Biden and the Prime Minister of Italy talking about how they're going to continue providing military assistance to Kiev whilst completely shafting the Italian economy by cutting relations with China. And why not? The EU is discussing the possibility of subsidising grain supplies from Ukraine via land routes. Otherwise, due to the high cost of this type of export, Kiev will lose its price attractiveness. And let's face it, it's not really got much else to be attracted to it, is it, that grain? It sounds like a death trap. So in short, more money to Kiev, Ukrainian counteroffensive going terribly, EU's in the pits, and we're all talking about war, death and economic suicide. Yay.